This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream. Hey, Marcus House with you here. It has been a bit of an odd week this week with Starship serial number 11's launch in the fog. Loads of other updates to share though around the Starship development scene and the aftermath of that exploding Starship prototype. Some pretty awesome ideas to share around a future orbital propellant depot idea, and we also have a few great updates with the Inspiration 4 mission to share.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
So yeah, it has been a fairly crazy sort of week with Starship development. Elon Musk stated last week on Twitter that SpaceX had delayed SN11's launch attempt from Friday to Monday to best ensure that the company could land and fully recover Starship SN11 successfully. First and foremost, the weekend allowed SpaceX time for additional checkouts and to scour SN11 as well as the data produced during the previous static fire for any major issues. While the plans for a same-day static fire and launch didn't pan out on Friday, March the 26th, SpaceX did manage to fire up one of the three Raptors to verify the health of the replacement engine after last week's Raptor swap. All was trending well for a launch on Monday, pending the weather in the area. However, the FAA inspector was unable to reach Starbase in time for that launch, which postponed it to Tuesday for a potential 8 AM liftoff, according to Elon. Now, finally, SpaceX completed its fourth Starship test flight right on schedule, lifting off at exactly 8 AM from Boca Chica that day. This flight once again offers the latest glimpse into the frustrating reality of a highly iterative and advanced rocket development program. Due to the fog, the general public, such as us here live streaming, saw virtually nothing throughout the launch attempt. However, remote streaming cameras set up near SpaceX's launch facility did manage to catch some level of detail. From these cameras as well as from the official SpaceX stream, SN11 seemed to have a fairly nominal ascent, reaching 10 kilometers in altitude around 4 minutes after liftoff. SN11 then transitioned into its belly down position and freefall for around 100 seconds. Now, just to quickly pause on this, SpaceX also showed this cool shot here of the liquid methane tank interior. This is a shot that we haven't seen before, and I wonder if it may have been unintentional that this was shown in their stream. Regardless though, we did see it, and what you can notice here is that liquid oxygen downcomer on the right hand side, which feeds the liquid all the way down from the nose cone to the engines through the bottom of this tank. We can even see a hint of the liquid methane header tank protruding through the cryogenic fuel in the middle there. We also see these baffles around the side here, which are designed to provide quite a substantial degree of dampening when the liquid fuel sloshes around in the tank in flight. That was a really great shot that we don't normally get to see there, so thanks SpaceX for sharing that one, intentionally or not. Now, aside from a few intermittent fires burning on some of the three Raptor engines, nothing really particularly appeared out of the ordinary. At T plus 5 minutes and 49 seconds, however, things rapidly went wrong when SpaceX tried to reignite all three of its Raptor engines to propulsively flip into a vertical landing position. As far as we can tell, after one successful reignition, SpaceX immediately lost onboard video and telemetry feeds. Engine number 2, or maybe even engine number 3, seemed to have a failure at ignition, which led to a loss of the entire vehicle when it exploded violently in mid-air. Debris began to then visibly hit the ground another 5 to 10 seconds after that explosion was first heard. This correlates to what Elon said shortly after on Twitter, where he said it looked like engine 2 had issues on ascent and didn't reach operating chamber pressure during the landing burn. But in theory, the second engine wasn't necessarily needed. Something significant had happened shortly after that landing burn started. Soon after, of course, Mauricio from RGV Aerial Photography was able to do a flyover and just check out this incredible series of shots. We see the debris field scattered far and wide. This landing burn certainly did not at all go to plan. Bowen Cameron and Ryan Hansen here posted this graphic breaking down the parts of SN11 that they could identify, and given that we see such a wide separation between the methane header tank segments here and another over here, it is pretty safe to assume a fairly energetic explosion happened around that area of the vessel. There was debate around whether the flight termination system may have been used, but we believe that this was more an unintentional explosion triggered by a very unhappy Raptor. Nice work once again to the community for providing all of this great diagnostic information. Do support RGV there if you can. SpaceX have begun the cleanup, and without these detailed shots here, we would have much less information to go on. As far as we can see, there hasn't been any extensive damage, at least, to the launch site itself. So outside of the flight, the construction of the huge integration tower that will include a crane to lift and stack Starship with the Super Heavy booster has continued this week. The foundation here is growing to all new heights, and I think we're going to see the development of this very rapidly increase now. They need to move very quickly, of course, before they will be able to even attempt an orbital launch with a fully stacked Starship and Super Heavy combo. It is also worth noting that the mystery jig structure that the community has been puzzling over for the last few weeks has had the tipless nose cone that we assume is some kind of human landing system mock-up lifted inside. Now, I had thought that it would likely be another week or two before we would see the next Starship prototype, which is, of course, Starship serial number 15, make its way down to the pad, but shortly after the demise of SN11, Elon Musk revealed that SpaceX intends to complete SN15 and roll it to the launch pad in just a few days. Its tank section was soon after moved out of the mid-bay, where it then received both of its aft flaps and was then rolled to the high bay, ready for nose cone mating. Its nose cone and barrel section had been stacked in front of the windbreak around the same time. In fact, as of recording, SN15 has already been fully stacked. SpaceX are not messing around here. By the time this video is live, it could even be on its way to the pad. Elon confirmed yet again that SN15 would bring substantial upgrades, stating that it has hundreds of design improvements across structures, avionics, software, and engines. He also stated that SN20 and onwards will probably need many flight attempts to survive Mach 25 entry heating and land intact. This isn't overly surprising, as they will really need a lot of data to determine how much reinforcement and thermal protection will be needed to ensure a fully safe return. This is all stuff, of course, it can simulate to a degree, but the real world data tends to be a little more unforgiving. It will not be at all surprising for me to see many prototypes lost on re-entry as those prototypes continue development. It is quite a different development method to what we are used to seeing with the aerospace industry. Remember, SpaceX here are very focused on developing the Starship production line itself. The goal is rapid prototyping and manufacture, and the reason that we have jumped right from SN11 to SN15 is simply because the iteration in Starship design is outpacing the launch attempt schedule. SN12, 13 and 14 were all decommissioned quite a few weeks back because SN15 was already including new technology that SpaceX were very keen to test out as soon as possible. And, look, there is a lot of skepticism out there now after these landing failures, but SpaceX will continue to iterate these prototypes and test them quickly in order to speed up further production. The individual prototypes don't matter that much. What does matter is how fast they can produce and iterate these prototypes. We also have the Super Heavy booster continuing development as well. Booster number 2's thrust dome was spotted this week, sporting all 8 central Raptor mounts. With BN1 being built only now as a production pathfinder and soon to be scrapped, it is expected that BN2, along with its significant design changes, will be the first booster that takes flight as early as the end of April. Will it be flying with all 8 of those Raptor engines? Let me know what you think. We see here a picture of Elon Musk's girlfriend Grimes posted on Twitter of her next to BN1, so that just gives a little context as to how massive this beast is. Near 70 meters tall, this alone is going to be quite amazing to see. Furthermore, we've already seen the first sections of booster number 3 appearing this week, with the forward dome sleeve and common dome being spotted as well. I think as we see Super Heavy flights to orbit, that will kick off a whole new enthusiasm for the space race that we find ourselves in. There is a load of other commercial developers out there joining the race too, and the midweek video that we published just the other day talks about this in a lot more detail. Thanks a heap to everybody for the incredible enthusiasm for that update. All of you out there subscribing, liking and sharing these videos makes such a huge difference to us. So close now to that 300,000 mark now, and that is all because of your support. Thank you very much. So just for a minute, I wanted to explore some of the recent ideas pushed live by SpaceX Vision here in this amazing set of renders that they worked so hard on, which garnered quite a bit of attention too. Now, this may seem a little crazy in current times, but imagine when Starship and Super Heavy is a vehicle that is sending massive cargo launches many times daily into orbit. What if we wanted to have a more dedicated refilling station in orbit, something that could be used to hold and refill other starships at short notice? As Elon said here, an orbital propellant depot optimized for cryogenic storage may very well make a lot of sense in the longer term. This is the orbital mega tanker concept animation, which is designed to hold around double the fuel as a regular Starship tanker. This design has one thing in mind, and that is to store as much fuel and liquid oxygen as possible. The initial launch to set this mission in motion would have this huge beast only contain the necessary fuel to get into orbit with almost none to spare. The point of this concept is to have a reusable ship that can simply hold propellant and oxidizer resources and would be left in orbit to be refilled by tanker starships as needed. As many who follow SpaceX and Starship closely already know, there are going to be several variations of the Starship platform. There will be the ship for crew and for cargo, and then there will be a design purely for sending liquid oxygen and liquid methane to orbit to refill a Starship destined for a mission to the Moon or even Mars. The issue with this is that many launches of a tanker Starship, somewhere between 5 and 8, will be needed to fully refill that empty vessel. Due to that, there will be a fully operational Starship kind of wasted while all of these launches and refill operations are occurring. Under certain circumstances though, having a more permanent refilling station such as a depot in low Earth orbit makes a lot of sense. This vessel has no need to return. No sea level engines, heat shield, legs, fins or anything else are necessary. It would of course need its vacuum engines to make it to orbit in the first place, but none of the other components normally needed for the Starship itself. So yes, this orbital mega tanker looks very different from SpaceX's Starship. The diameter here shown along with the overall length is greater as well, so more room for resource storage. It is also covered with solar panels on one side, while the opposite side has extensive radiators just to radiate the heat away that builds up over time. That would all help to keep the fuel at the correct cryogenic temperature using a range of active cooling systems along with the radiators themselves. Because of the huge amount of solar collection area here, perhaps a massive ion engine could be placed between the 3 vacuum engines to allow efficient station keeping to occur. That would allow this beast, even if completely full, to slowly raise its orbit over time to fight any atmospheric drag encountered at the placement altitude. Ion engines of course take a massive amount of electricity to run, but they are super efficient. Given the energy generation capacity of all of these panels, that should be more than enough to conduct small adjustments. Thanks to SpaceX Vision for sharing these ideas. I'd love to know what you think. Feedback here could help improve this idea over time, even if it's currently a little more hypothetical. With the ability to store this much material for refilling, this could be the one-stop shop for that trip to Mars. From there, who knows what such a vessel could evolve into. Perhaps a monster cargo transporter? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Now this week we received a pretty awesome delivery in the mail. This here is a Starship model created for us by Arn from morethan3d.com. This beast is all 3D printed with the main body showing all of this wonderful detail. There is some cabling on the side here that I don't have installed just so I can more easily split it apart for you to see, so there are some nice finishing touches here as well. Firstly, the aft and forward fins all move, so that is very cool. The thing I love about this the most is the incredibly strong little magnets placed at all of the connection points so that everything just snaps together. There's no glue or fiddly assembly required. You just separate any area you like and it all just snaps back together super quickly. As a few quick examples, you can instantly split this apart to see the various sections of the Starship from the nose, which includes this awesome little header tank here in the tip. We then have the main crew or cargo area right underneath there with all of those stringers included in the 3D print. Such great detail there. And look right here, a little tiny Tesla battery that drives the fins and other electronics. That is a really cute little feature. Now we are looking here right above the top of the liquid methane tank. That central little bulkhead cap comes off, so you can even peer down inside, but we can even pull all of that apart to see the liquid methane header tank underneath. Even cooler than that though, the header tank splits into its components which just snap together on either side of that common bulkhead. How awesome is that? This is so good for demonstrating how these header tanks are assembled in real life. Within the liquid oxygen tank here, we have the downcomers here represented with the red and green pipe colours. The liquid oxygen header tank runs right down the side of the entire vessel, just as it does in real life, and here the red downcomer which feeds the fuel right down into the 3 Raptor engines. Now, speaking of Raptor engines, check out the engine bay here. The 3 Raptors just snap in like that. That's just so satisfying to tinker around with. Around with that, we have our various COPVs, which also snap into place as well. And then look at this, the 6 tiny baby legs that Starship currently has that we can just snap into place. So cool. Thank you very much, Arn, for your amazing work here. There are actually as well a number of models here which I haven't even yet had the chance to tinker with. There are actually 2 versions for the Starship itself, a pretty amazing Raptor engine model and this sweet Crew Dragon. If you want to check it out or support what they're up to there at morethan3d.com, the link is in the description. Now, some interesting updates to share around the Inspiration 4 mission today as well. This first privately funded crewed spaceflight mission announced its final 2 crew members in a live stream on Tuesday. These 4 crew members will be all making history in their momentous flight come later this year. The commander and benefactor of this mission, Jared Isaacman, organised the flight to bring awareness to a few major programs and institutions that are very close to him. These institutions played a massive part in picking the members of the crew. The second crew member, Hayley Arsenault, was announced in late February as the crew member demonstrating hope. She currently works as a physician's assistant at St Jude's, which is the same place that she was cured of her cancer at the age of 10. In addition, she will not only be the youngest American to visit space, but also the first person with a prosthetic body part. The third crew member, Chris Sombrowski, is the individual who represents generosity. He has always enjoyed space since his childhood and volunteered in college with space lobbying efforts to bring in a wider range of opportunities for companies like SpaceX to even exist. Chris served in the Air Force and soon after gained a professional aeronautics degree from university, which allowed him to develop and work with industry-changing technology, and he is currently employed at Lockheed Martin in Seattle all at the same time. The last member of this crew, Dr. Cyan Proctor, embodies the spirit of prosperity. Cyan is an analog astronaut who conducted spaceflight activities on the ground and received similar training as those who go up into space. For this mission, she is going to be the pilot, as she has her pilot's license along with a scuba certification, which is certainly going to come in very useful in space. Now, these 4 crew members will be breaking the boundaries by inspiring a whole new set of people in what can be achieved. As the name suggests, Inspiration 4 will have one purpose only: to inspire the world. And additionally, beyond just the people involved here, SpaceX has developed a cupola-style viewing glass for the crew to more easily view and take pictures of the Earth. Instead of the normal docking hatch and the port that is on the International Space Station Crew Dragon, which won't be needed in this case, this Crew Dragon will be slightly modified to provide the greatest view from space, all within a single capsule. I am so very much looking forward to this mission happening later this year, and hopefully more information will be provided soon about the orbit of this trip. So yes, we have talked a lot today about Starship, which will make it possible to colonize Mars in the near future, and all of this actually ties in beautifully with our incredible sponsor for today's episode, CuriosityStream. This documentary here is an episode of A Curious World, which talks deeper about Mars colonization. Getting to Mars is far from easy, but living there, that is a whole other level of difficulty. All the same, I'm sure that you would agree that it would be a great tragedy if us as a species never managed to colonize another planet and explore outside our very own world. This is what humans are. We are explorers, and at 34 million miles away from Earth at its closest, Mars still seems like the next achievable objective in interplanetary travel. What will it take for humans to get to Mars and establish an Earth-independent way of life? Do we live on the surface, or do we live underground in lava tubes? Is it plausible to change Mars's atmosphere over time? What would that take? There are so many questions here that are explored on CuriosityStream. This is an incredible subscription subscription streaming service that I've been subscribed to myself for years. It provides thousands of award-winning documentaries, including a huge library of space-related content. You could be interested in other science and technology-related topics as well. It could be physics, biology, medicine, or genetics. There are many great libraries here for you to explore, and you can even stream this awesome content worldwide anytime on a range of supported devices. If you would like to help support me and you'd like to check it out, give it a try by heading to curiositystream.com/MarcusHouse. With that, you can sign up for access at just $14.99 for the entire year. You'll find that link in the description below. So yes, keep an eye out for SN15 updates this week with Starship. We also have another Starlink mission in several days' time as well, assuming all of that remains on schedule. Just remember as well that we are huge supporters of the transition to electric vehicles here on the channel, and our partner EV offers the ability to hire an electric vehicle in Australia. Perhaps you have wanted to take an extended test drive. You could be touring the country and want to drive around in a Tesla. If that sounds appealing to you, you can use the link in the description for a discount. Big thank you as well to my amazing patrons and YouTube members here. There is no way that we can continue creating content at this frequency and length without all of you. That support that you all here provide allows us to increase the time that we can spend, and that is all thanks to that growing list of supporters right there. Thank you to each and every one of you. As support increases, that helps the entire team, so if you would like to join up on YouTube as a YouTube member from the join button below, or even signing up with Patreon here at patreon.com/MarcusHouse, that would be a huge help. Either of those options gives you access to interact with me more directly via the linked roles on our Discord server. You can also have your name listed right here like all these other amazing people. You can also have earlier and ad-free access to the videos to watch before anyone else. A massive thank you as well to the production crew assisting greatly with the video production, and of course to the Quality Control Squad here for helping me research and proof the material for all of these videos. If you're interested in these topics and you'd like to be a part of it, follow me on Twitter and please do get in touch. In the tile in the bottom left today, we have my video in the week taking a deeper dive into the commercial space arena. That was a midweek video, so if you missed it, check it out. In the top right is my latest video, and in the bottom right, content that YouTube has selected from my channel just for you. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.